Yeah, so you kind of hit on it in the intro there a little bit, Alex, is that we are walking into a kind of tale of two uh, administrations, a transition point. The last 4 years of crypto, having been in them for the last presidency or last presidential term, have been much more of an anti-crypto sentiment from the SEC, the White House, executive orders in 2022, the FTX, Voyager, the sentiment in general around crypto for the last 4 years has been very negative, and we've seen a big shift happening earlier than the election, but it was all kind of hinged on the election. When I was in Nashville in July for the annual Bitcoin conference, we had no idea that two of three presidential candidates were going to join us. So President-elect Trump and RFK actually joined as well, along with other large names like Senator Loomis and Senator Haggerty from Tennessee. So you're seeing this significant shift in the overall sentiment about cryptocurrency. Instead of a keep it away, it seems like we're going to see a lot more adoption coming, and that's happening. You see, well, I think most of the heads of most of the three-letter administrations are announcing that they're retiring on January 20th. So Gensler's announced it. The CFTC president recently announced it. So they know that there's a new boss in town, and there's going to be changes. We're going to have a crypto czar in the White House. We have an efficiency department, the DOGE, that's coming out. These will all be things that you'll see where we're going to start adopting new technologies. We've kind of been fighting them in prior administrations, and I think you're going to see adoption of the use of blockchain and other cryptos in efficiency for the government. You're going to see AI usage accelerate. It's a great time to be alive in the technology, at the cutting edge of technology. And that actually goes further than just the surface. There was another major announcement that kind of quietly came out in December, while most of us were either gearing down or taking the solstice for a couple of weeks with our family members. The Q MicroStrategy was added to the Nasdaq QQQ. Now, I know I'm in a room full of alternative investors, right? This is Horizon Trust family, so I'm not here to talk about stocks, but I'm here to talk that has become, in essence, the headline is passive money has now indirectly become active Bitcoin investors, whether they plan to or not. And how that works is that being in the Nasdaq 100, the QQQ, or the triple Q, some call it, that is that is opening up pension funds, traditional investment buyers that are just, they kind of passively allocate towards these major indices. And if MicroStrategy is now inside that indice, that means funds are going to funnel into the triple Q at the race that they were. A portion of that will end up in MicroStrategy's pocket for investment and growth of their business. And we know what MicroStrategy is going to do. They're going to keep buying more Bitcoin. Michael Saylor over there has been applauded and criticized over the last 5 years as he's exponentially grown the size of his business simply with treasury management and having Bitcoin on the balance sheet excessively and heavily as a large portion of it. So this is a story that not a lot of folks are talking about yet, because it will take some time to have its impact as you have more investing going into these indexes and then pumping into Bitcoin. But even those that maybe wouldn't actively go buy a Bitcoin asset, they are now indirectly buying it. And I think that's a really newsworthy piece that hasn't been discussed a lot, and we're not seeing a lot in the news yet.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of change in the industry, and that's why we knew we had to have you on, Chris. So we're like you mentioned, we do have a webinar full of people who are trying to diversify their assets. They're tired of the traditional stocks and bonds, or they're already in them, but they wanted to grow even more with maybe something they know and understand a little bit more. So cryptocurrency is a new thing, but a lot of people still kind of have their hesitations about it. So what is it that's something that you can kind of talk about to help some of these people understand that it is something that you can do, if it's something that you're really interested in?
Absolutely. I think that obviously we've been around. We did our first Bitcoin IRA retirement account back in 2015. And since then, we've added over 200,000 members to our community. Many of them are existing Horizon Trust account holders, and have gotten up to about 14 billion with a B in assets under custody for our platform. And it's a lot like, I mean, what I love about your guys' network and your guys' audience is they already understand that you're not just stuck with traditional stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. These are the folks that didn't want to just buy a REIT. They'd rather buy real estate and do flips and make investment properties or get into private equity, the spaces that aren't available at your traditional Fidelity, et cetera. So alongside those, back in 2015, we had become experts in some of the real estate places, the LLC places of this industry. And the challenge came across our desk. Is it possible to do something like Bitcoin in one of these? And we went back to our expertise and tried to build the model, and it's best explained a lot around the model of gold. And many of your account holders may actually be invested in gold or have considered it. You have the custodian in place. You need to have an ability to get a IRS approved gold and silver, and then you have to store it in an IRS approved vault, right? That's kind of the three steps you have to take. And so we built our platform in the same fashion. You have to have a chartered trust custodian. We obviously partner with Horizon Trust and carry our own charter in the state of Nevada as well. So you kind of got a double down effect there. We work only with exchanges that allow us to securely move assets in a cold storage fashion, which we could dive into that a little bit later if we want to get into security, if folks are curious. And then we store it in a wallet that has a lot of key management and security management, but it's a virtual wallet, a digital wallet that the Bitcoin sits in for the particular IRA holder. So once we fit all those parameters, then it was just about accessibility. And with crypto, I think what turns a lot of folks maybe away early is the volatility factor. And it is, right? It's very volatile. In the last year alone, we saw it. We started the year, Bitcoin ETF was coming to market. So we had a rather large run from about 25 to 40,000 early last year. And then we had a very quiet market space with some volatility and some downside in the second and third quarter of the year. But once the news hit that obviously Donald Trump was going to be our 47th president, and a crypto-friendly platform was coming, you see a lot of volatility happening. Even today, folks we watched it go all the way up to 108,000 just about 3 weeks ago, and it's pulled back to 95, 94,000. So for a lot of folks, I think one thing to consider is this is your retirement. So a lot of folks have kind of a set it and forget it. You usually hold a real estate asset or other assets for a longer time period. Same is true of crypto and Bitcoin. You'll be able to hold this long term in a tax advantage setting, which is really our ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, we are in a regulatory space. So Horizon Trust, we are the custodian that we're just trying to make sure that all of the investments that are being processed are IRS compliant, that you're following regulations and everything like that. That's our role as the custodian. So your company also understands security, safety, regulation, and all of that. So what is it that kind of anyone who is interested in the crypto space with your company in particular, I guess even with Horizon and your company, in conjunction to make sure that their investments are as secure as you can for the dynamics and shifts that the crypto space is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the one thing we do really well is we give you 24/7, 365 access. So there are new options. The ETF launched, and that is a kind of a paper proxy certificate, but it does have two key limitations. Its first is it follows the traditional trading hours of the stock market, 9 to 5 East Coast. And the problem with that is Bitcoin doesn't sleep. In fact, when it first hit 100,000, it was at 9 p.m. West Coast on a Thursday. And its volatility, we see about 80% of our transaction volume takes place outside of business hours. So having access is critical. And then having secure access, which using our platform, it's a common misnomer. Your crypto is not sitting on the actual platform. This isn't like a Coinbase or a Kraken exchange. Your crypto is sitting behind secure vault, what I call the pentagonic custody, which I'll break down in a second. But it's sitting back and the backside secure. You're just accessing it and being able to direct trades on it very similar to probably when folks are logging into the Horizon account. The dollars are sitting there, but there's no way to just say wire $50,000 out of my IRA account. There's steps that have to be taken. You have to request a withdrawal. There's a verification. We use AI authentication and verification, so you'll actually do a video verification if you ever wanted to move funds out of it. So having accessibility 24/7, working with a reputable platform, and then down the road, you can take distribution of these assets in kind, which I'm sure is probably popular for some of the other alternatives that you see. I know folks like to take gold and silver out in kind, or some folks will take pieces of real estate out as their distribution when they reach that age of distribution or required mandatory distribution. Bitcoin is also able to do that. So we can teach you and show you how to distribute those things to directly to a additional wallet for longer term holding outside of your retirement years. And this is popular for folks that are thinking, I've watched Bitcoin go from pennies to $100,000 in or I guess 13 short years. It's basically it's like a teenager right now. My daughter's 11 and she's starting to hit that preteen, so it's a little volatile, it's a little irritable, it's a adolescent asset, but it's growing now, where you see a lot of folks, the sailors and other experts of the world, calling for by September of this year, maybe somewhere in the 150 to $200,000 range. And there's folks that believe in $1 million Bitcoin at some point. And that really just comes down to scarcity, which I'm sure you people with real estate understand that, right, Alex?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a similar situation with real estate. So you just kind of want to keep in mind on how you're going to be using that crypto and how long you're planning on holding it. Because, like you mentioned, if I do reach retirement age and the only thing I have left to holding in my account is Bitcoin, and hey, maybe that's the point where it went from pennies to my $1 million, then that's perfect. That's exactly
And
what
what
I
better
need.
place than a tax deferred setting, right? Or a tax free
100%.
setting. So Roth, traditional. I saw a question pop up here. If you could do it with solo Ks, yes, you can do it with the solo Ks as well. In fact, Claudia and I just helped a client do the first HSA,
HSA, yeah.
crypto IRA, or crypto HSA, I guess is what we would call it, right, Claudia?
Yeah, the main thing to keep in mind is that all of our accounts are self-directed, and any self-directed account can be used for crypto investing. So
Yep.
any account that you have here at Horizon, whether it be a SEP IRA, an HSA, a Roth IRA, or a 401k, or any other ones that we have, you can go ahead and set up. And somebody's asking what the name of your company is. Do you want to go over the name of your company?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm getting so bad at this. Is like my thousand. I think this is my 1,127th webinar or podcast. They keep me very busy as the poster boy. And you guys know, my daughter and I sat on that awesome orange couch last March, which was very fun. She
Yeah.
wants to come back, and she got booked for another one in New York later this month. But yeah, it's Bitcoin IRA. And I think what would be probably great is, Claudia, if you could drop in the comments the direct link, so that if you use the link from Horizon, we know you're a Horizon account holder. Or if you call in, you just let folks know you're a Horizon account holder. We have specials, and it's a certain way we set up the sub account for your guys' accounts. You don't actually open another IRA with us. You open up a sub account with us that then you move funds from your existing Horizon account into our platform so that you can trade it. Your main primary custodian stays as Horizon. So for future contributions, distributions, maintenance, all those things, we're kind of like, I like to think of it like Kaiser, where you go to the doctor and then they assign you, oh, you need to go to a dermatologist, or you need to go to a heart doctor, cardiologist. We're one of those pieces of the pie that to support the Horizon family.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point because we do get that question a lot. And for those of you that are on here and joining us today who are existing clients, and this does sound like it's something that you want to do, just know that we do also have Chris and his company listed on our investment corner. So if you go to our website, horizontrust.com, visit our investment corner, that's where you're going to find his company's link. And again, this is a tool that's exclusively available to our clients. But for those of you here in attendance today, we will drop that link in the chat. And if you are watching this on the replay on YouTube, we'll have this link in the description below. So just go ahead and check that out as well. And you can catch that on the replay and meet up with Chris and his team to find out how you could start kind of using your Horizon Trust account to start investing into any crypto. So perfect, Chris. No, I think we're getting a lot of information out here, and it looks like there's questions that are coming in from everyone kind of just on the variety of ways that this can work. So we'll kind of go through a little bit more information on the crypto space specifically, kind of just try to cover our bases as best as we can, and then we'll kind of open up the room for a little Q&A at the end.
Wonderful.
So for those of you that do have your questions, feel free to ask us your questions. You can ask them in the chat or ask them in the Q&A, but we will try to get to as many as possible as we go through them.
Chris, one of the things that was really cool when you did the training last week is the pentagon diagram and how you described how security. I know security is a big deal for people that are in the crypto space because I guess they can steal your wallet or something,
Yeah.
something like that. So I want to go ahead and go over that because you are really good at explaining that, and I want to make sure that they know the difference between using Bitcoin IRA and just setting up their own wallet that can get possibly compromised.
Absolutely. Am I able to share here?
You should be able to, yes.
Okay. I just pulled that up so we can go through that for a bit here, just to dive into the platform specifics.
And then
Can
since
everybody-
we're also talking about security, yeah, we can see your screen, so that's great. I'll kind of piggyback onto Claudia's because I believe that was part of your presentation as well on showing kind of what you meant by offboard. So your wallet not being fully, online.
Fully cold storage. Yeah, absolutely. So just so folks know, the presentation I'm showing right now, we have real people, real crypto is what I call it. So we deal in the real crypto, not proxy certificates. And if you call, it's 4:30, you might still pull the SLA, but usually within about 120 seconds, somebody answers our call. So we put a real human being on the phone with you because we understand that crypto is a more complicated asset class. A lot of folks are getting into it the first time, so they're going to have a lot of questions. So if I move too fast here, if something gets missed, we can look at the Q&A, and you also have that resource available. But I wanted to jump to the particular piece about security. Here is what I think Claudia was asking about. So when it comes to crypto, there is the original way back a long time ago that when crypto first got started, you had to use something called a hot exchange. And you would basically say, okay, I'll go to Coinbase or one of the players at the time. Kraken was also big. And I'll wire or I'll put a plaid, like a ACH of 5,000, 50,000, whatever it is. And then I'll buy and sell on there. Well, here's what happens is you are only as safe as the weakest link, and you become the weakest link as the individual account holder. And because we all have been had things like SIM swaps, emails getting hacked or taken over. Cybersecurity is one of the most paramount. Actually, I'm trying to get my daughter to go into a major for cybersecurity when she gets to college because I think it's a place that there'll always be a need for people because every time new security is developed, hackers find another way to break them down. And I've seen some very smart people get SIM swapped or have their emails changed on them. And then the first thing they do is they go hunt. Oh, it looks like you have a Coinbase account. Oh, it looks like you have a Kraken account. Perfect. I'm going to log in. I'm going to change the password. I'm going to move those assets off that exchange and over to my own personal wallet. So that unlike with wires and others, none of these groups are insured. They're just exchanges, right? So when we first built our platform, we knew that was not going to work because this is people's retirement money. This is the holy grail. If I mess this up, I will be coming live from Folsom Prison, like what's his face, the old country singer, and I don't think they're gonna let me do webinars from there if that's something that goes wrong. Johnny Cash, that's what I'm thinking of. And so what we built here is an integrated solution that encompasses. So the Pentagon was built it was actually designed after, not right after, but in mind of the invasion of the War of 1812 and other things that were happening. So it's actually a flat building that doesn't have as much risk to it. And it also has 5 rings of security around it. And the Pentagon is geometrically one of the strongest shapes out there. And if you see, we put the little Bitcoin egg in the center. So if you're a 5-star general or the Secretary of Defense, your office is on the inner ring for the most security. And then it goes outward from there. And so these layers are having an integrated trust solution along with Horizon Trust, having what's called cold exchange, which there's another slide I'll share a little bit about that, involving humans, not making this an entirely automated transaction process, using AI identity authentication I was talking about, and military grade security. And what I mean by that is a wallet has keys. There's public keys, which are like your address, your wallet, your like email address. You say, hey, Alex, send me an email. My email is chris@bitcoinira.com. I let that out publicly. But I don't tell Alex, hey, by the way, if you log into my email, my password is ABC123 QWERTY, right? That's what you don't share. These keys, these private keys, we use 3 different versions of the key, and it requires kind of like a nuclear silo. They have to put 2 keys in at once and turn them simultaneously in order to access the wallet. And then those keys are not just stored in like a drawer somewhere. They are geographically dispersed in separate vaults, and they are what's called obfuscated and encrypted, which I call it salt and peppering, where we're actually, if somebody was to even access the key itself, it would look like a pixelated image without the encryption software to access it. And they would only get, even if they got through that, they would only get a little itty bitty piece of the key itself, because we actually break them apart and spread them geographically throughout the world, throughout the country. And so whenever we're moving assets and doing that process with our security partners, all that is working in tandem with layers of internal controls, which is nothing you see when you're like on a Coinbase or a Kraken. Does that help answer a little bit of those questions, Alex?
That answered a lot of questions. I feel like it also drew more questions, but in essence, it's secure. You
Yeah.
are in the Pentagon. You are not, getting in, getting out that easily.
Yep. And by comparison, there are other providers in our space. We were the first and we're the largest, but there are others that have come to fruition. And I think part of the reason why Horizon chose to work with us, not only because Greg and I are good friends, and I love Claudia, and Alex, you're pretty cool guy too, but that the others haven't really invested in this security. It's a lot of investment. It takes a lot to keep this, not only build the first, but then build the iterations of it to follow, so to keep people more and more and more secure as more and more threats come on. There's now deep fakes. That was a big thing about middle of last year, where celebrities were being deep faked and the AI was creating their likeness and then making videos. These are all things we build protections around to protect our clients from, in essence, themselves, from something happening. Any other of our competition, I always say, is like a house of cards. They found, okay, we've got an exchange, we've got a wallet, we've got a custodian, but they're stacking them like, and all it takes, just like with what happened with FTX, Voyage, or Celsius a few years back, is you pull one card out. It doesn't matter if it's the top, the middle, or the bottom, and the whole house starts falling down. And so that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And most of my team, if you talk to them, they probably nerd out even more. If you're a super security freak, they could nerd out more. We could teach you how to use YubiKeys, which I can't take mine out of my computer right now because it'll actually turn everything off. But I think I have my old one here. These are biometric security tools in which you can insert them into I actually use it for my phone. So if I ever go on and do anything with my Amex, my banking, or anything, I have to insert this, and then my biometric thumbprint has to access it. So it takes Face ID to a whole nother level, and we can show folks how to do those things. And that's just keeping your login safe. Behind the scenes, your crypto's behind several layers, the 5 layers of the pentagonic custody.
So with kind of some of this that you've covered, Chris, because there was a lot that was covered, and it's all for the benefit of the client. It's for the security of their wallet, to protect them from themselves, like you mentioned, and to protect them from hackers. So with that draws the question, how easy is it to use the platform? Because am I then going to have to go through 20-mile jog just to get access to my Bitcoin to sell it at the exact second I need to sell?
No, so you'll be able to log in easily. We have a mobile app, you have a online website, and all these things. Now it's watching behind the scenes. It has a registration of your IP address and things like that. So if all of a sudden you're trying to log in from Bulgaria and you live in Oklahoma, we're gonna flag it. Okay, this is coming from a weird place. And then you get to choose your multiple factor authentication. Most people are comfortable with Face ID, phone SMS verification, or authenticator at this point. Most folks are. If not, it's very easy to set that up. We set up the basic one of SMS for you right away. So you'll log in, you'll get a code, you have to put the code in, and then you're in. And that's a matter of usually about 15 seconds. Then you're trading at your discretion. But what's important is those trades are getting executed, but assets are not leaving the platform. After, if you're selling everything off, we're going to move things cold storage to cold storage and keep everything secure. And if you're intending to leave the ecosystem, like actually distribute funds, which is very rare in our world until you get to the older ages. But in the event that you get there, you'll go through a video verification. That takes a little bit longer, usually about a day's worth of work, but it's much better than waking up and everything's gone one morning. So like it's a give and take, right? Like you don't want to be so fast, but also have security behind it as well. Does that help answer that, Alex?
It 100% does. Yeah.
Awesome.
You definitely do want that security aspect. So I was just looking at this for someone who may be new to crypto, someone who maybe isn't fully comfortable with crypto yet, but they've grown curious. I believe during our last session where you were here in the room with us, you even told us how there was a grandfather that is doing it with his grandchild. And that was a way that they were able to connect because it brought the two generations from miles apart in age to connect over something that they both mutually found interesting. And not only is it helpful, that grandchild is now able to then grow an asset uh, with long-term kind of.
Learn how to invest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, that and Izzy won't take anything but crypto. That's her policy. Even with her allowance, she's collecting satoshis these days, which is Bitcoin is and that's actually a good point. Is that Bitcoin is not just one unit of Bitcoin; it is a very divisible asset. So with currency as we know it, big like dollars, you have the dollar, the $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, $100 bill, right? And you have quarters, pennies, nickels, and dimes, which during COVID those disappeared, right? Change and cash just disappeared, right? With Bitcoin, it actually goes to the 10th decimal point. So 0.0090 zeros and then a 1, and that's known as a Satoshi, which nowadays I wouldn't be able to do that math that quickly, but it's a few dollars that one Satoshi is, or almost $1, I think. And I'm still into my fog and my flu, so I'm not gonna rest on that math. But you can actually go to Google and see how many Satoshis it takes to make a dollar, or how much a Satoshi is worth. But that divisibility is key because a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to do $100,000 in my IRA with Bitcoin. I only have 100, so I can't do that. No, you can, because you don't have to buy a whole one. You can buy 0.01, 0.001. Our account platform minimum is $3,000. So that's not even near 0.0. I think it's 0.005 Bitcoin that you would get out of that. Back in the day, 0.005 Bitcoin was kind of like, oh, it's nothing. But my own father got some Bitcoin when I first started this, and he did it over, I can't remember where he did it, not in a secure place, and I yelled at him for it. And then he calls me, I think mid-November, right before Thanksgiving. He goes, "You're not gonna believe this. That little account that I opened those years ago, it's up to $4,000, son. I can't believe it." And I was like, "Did you hold on to it because you forgot about it?" He goes, "Yeah, I totally forgot it was there, but I decided to log in. I couldn't believe what it could be worth because of the growth factor of Bitcoin in all those years."
Yeah, no, it definitely can become a very powerful tool depending on how long you're looking to hold it, which kind of, and that's why we had to have Chris on. This industry, this market right now, it's so dynamic. So you have to consider the longevity of an investment over the short term. And at Horizon Trust, all of your investments are done more so in a passive sense. You're not actively trading. If you are active, that's kind of against the regulations of being passive in the role. Yes, you can buy and sell stocks and cryptos and everything, but you're not an active trader doing this on a daily basis, for example. So this is a one thing where you can buy a Bitcoin when the market's low, or um, I already lost the word of what that percentage of Bitcoin was, but when you buy that percentage will grow over time. And I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in the chat on what type of accounts you can do this in. You can do this in any type of account. And there was a question about what's the difference between a tax-free and a tax-deferred account. So tax deferred is going to be like your traditional IRA, your 401k, that if you're with Horizon, you have a solo K. If you're with your current employer, maybe they sponsor a 401k. So from that, you're not paying any taxes up front. But when that money comes out, that's when you'll pay the taxes. Then you have your tax-free accounts like your 401k tax-free or your Roth IRAs. Those you are putting money that has already been taxed and then will now continue to grow tax-free. So if I'm buying this Bitcoin right now, and we'll just go with easy numbers at $1,000 per Bitcoin unit, and then in 25 years, when I remember or just deem its time, and now my Bitcoin is worth 100,000, 200,000, $1 million, I'm not paying money on those gains. So that's what you're kind of considering and what is the best option for you. And that's where Horizon comes in. We work with you to determine what is the best type of account for you. And then Chris's team is able to assist you with the crypto side. So if you are new to the crypto space, you can learn that area as well, and not and have your, I guess, for the lack of a better word, have your hand held through the process, which is the same thing that we at Horizon do. And one of the great reasons why we have such a great relationship with Chris and his company.
Chris, do you want to go into the different types of coins that you guys offer? I know that you offer a lot more than the regular companies, so I thought that was really cool to see.
Absolutely, Claudia. So yeah, we are Bitcoin IRA, but that's only because all the way back in 2015, Bitcoin was the only game in town. It was the only digital asset. Now there are upwards of over 2,000 different digital assets available, and it's a wild world out there. So what we've done over the years is slowly grown. So we in 2017 we launched the first Ethereum IRA. Ethereum is a asset that a lot of folks liken to, if we could have bought shares of the internet or utilities back in the day when they're building power lines or they're putting fiber optics in. Those are that's like the backbone of the common or the modern communication system. Ethereum is going to be a piece of that, along with others like Solana, that will be the backbone of Web 3, Web 4. So original web was what we got when the internet first came out. I barely played with it as a kid. Like, think about making a MySpace account. We used to have to know how to code to do that. And then Web 2 has really been the layer where we've put it, like AOL has come, was one of them. We all were in chat rooms, or we were all doing instant messenger with each other, and it was a basic database search engine. And Web 3 has really taken us to this next evolution of the things you see happening in mobile apps and things like that. Where we're headed next is a world where you can actually, and a lot of folks are looking forward to this, is a world where you can actually protect a little bit more of your privacy. A lot of the times in web today, we are tracked on everything we do. In fact, a lot of times nowadays, new clients are finding us via ChatGPT. They're asking, hey, ChatGPT, who's the best Bitcoin IRA provider or crypto IRA provider out there? And ChatGPT is looking at all that data and then searching and giving them the answer. And why are folks using that? Well, because ChatGPT isn't putting a bunch of cookies and pixels in your life where the next time you open Instagram, you're getting 17 ads about Bitcoin, right? This is the Web 4 and 5 are the layers of privacy and security that we're going to see. There are so many of them. We've all heard about the meme coin revolution that took place. So you've got the Shibas and the Doge coins of the world. These are much, you're starting to get into a more speculative world. I think that what's really helpful to do with any coin you're looking at is first do your research. So make sure you look up the coin itself. Coin market cap is a great place to get a lot of information about an individual coin. You can look up the white paper. You can watch its trading volume, etc. We try not to put fringe coins on our platform. All of these have stood the test of time over the years. They have high volumes of trading in 24 hours, and they're able to fit into our secure mechanisms. So I have to have an exchange that trades them direct cold to cold storage with me. I have to have a wallet support so that they can fit inside of my digital wallet standards. So you may find coins and our clients are always asking for new ones, and we're always trying to get more out there. We just launched about 15 new ones, and the two most popular are SUI, SUI, and FET, FET. They are FET is an artificial intelligence token associated with cryptocurrency, which, as just a follower of crypto over the years and watching and trying to embrace AI as much as I can, I'm not much of a young man anymore. I'm gonna be 40 in a couple months, but to stay on the cutting edge of those things, uh, there will be a marriage and a harmony between artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency in the near and distant future. This is what our kids are learning. My kids and my kids' kids are learning. Just watching them, the way they work on tablets, the way they do things. My grandfather used to call me Thumbs because whenever I would come to his house, I would play Nintendo and I'd just be Thumbs. Just staring at the screen. It's call me Thumbs. And so now I watch Isabella do things on her iPad or her iPhone that are just like, it blows my mind. They don't do paper or pen at her school at all. I mean, handwriting is, I guess, well, the state of California. This is funny for anybody from California. I'm not much of a Californian, but I'm here. I'm originally from Colorado, so I always joke about California a little bit. They actually just passed Governor Newsom passed a law about a year ago that brought cursive and handwriting skills back to the standards of public schools in California, which you know, I think it's important for brain development. I've done the studies, but the truth of the matter is everything's going to be on these machines moving forward. On this call alone, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 monitors. You guys have 1, 2, and a big screen. There's 10 monitors at play right now doing different things, and we're communicating with people all over the world and country right now. This is the future that we're dealing with, and it'd be even more exciting if we fast forward a couple of years. The acceleration of technology is going to be very vast.
Oh, 100%. That's when I kind of nerd out. I was like, anything technologically advancements are 100% where I start to geek out. So yeah, the crypto space has always been a huge interest to me. I first heard about crypto back in 2013. I should have bought it back then. I didn't. I've grown since then and have made my investments. But had I bought Bitcoin back in 2013, my God, I don't know where I'd be right now.
You'd be a crypto bro.
It'd
Isn't that what they're called?
I'd be a crypto bro.
I think that is, it's actually a dating category on the dating sites I hear these days.
One of my coworkers did ask me today. They're like, "Hey, what's the topic today?" And I was like, "Oh, we're talking about crypto, bro." Here
Yeah.
and everything. I was like, "Yeah, thanks, bro."
I'm not
Appreciate
the most typical crypto bro. Like you'll see I've been on Bloomberg. I do wear a tie. I will wear a sport coat. I don't wear a hoodie. I really have tried to be at the intersection of traditional finance and new age finance. I kind of sharpened my teeth in the LLC, gold, and real estate worlds, and saw the same. What appealed to me was the scarcity factor. We live in a world of abundance, and we have our whole lives. It's just more and more and more and more. And Bitcoin in particular, there was only ever going to be 21 million ever mined. And we're already at like 19.5 million. The last one will be mined somewhere around like 2145. I'll be gone. Claudia and Alex, you guys might still be here. Maybe you'll be like 100 years old. Isabel will be grown. She'll probably be doing these types of things because it gets harder and harder to mine a crypto asset, especially Bitcoin. It's a proof of work concept. So the power that it takes to solve the difficult algorithmic equation gets harder and harder, and power gets more and more difficult. What you used to be able to do with that laptop in front of you, Alex, was mine Bitcoin back when it was pennies. Today, you're going to need an entire room of ant miners, and you're going to need to control temperature. In fact, something really awesome is the country of El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as its reserve currency 3 years ago in 2021, and they are using geothermal energy. So one of the things, if you look at the history of El Salvador, if you just Wikipedia it, you see about every 20 to 50 years, an explosion happens at a volcano and wipes the place out. Like it's it's kind of like Florida with hurricanes or California with earthquakes. Like or tornadoes in the Midwest. Mother Nature will always win. And so it does these just catastrophic things. And I thought it was so cool when I met some of the folks from El Salvador that were doing this when I was in Nashville. They are using the geothermal power and energy happening at the base of the volcano to power the miners that are creating Bitcoin and mining Bitcoin for them. So what a great story that they're doing there. And in fact, they also are doing UBI, a version of it, Universal Basic Income, because we're talking about, this is a banana republic that has been third world for years, generations. And if you were born in El Salvador as a child today, you will have a birthright. And that birthright is a piece of Bitcoin, is how they're doing it. So you're actually born into a holding of cryptocurrency. It's just really cool to see. And now you've got major countries like the United States that are saying, okay, we're not going to make it the reserve currency. The dollar is the dollar, but we are going to build a reserve around Bitcoin, just like we have a gold reserve, we have an oil reserve, we have these reserves, these strategic reserves. Trump called it in Nashville a stockpile. And you have these so that you don't have shocks to the economy. And now we're building a stockpile of Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor said that the first country that prints money to buy Bitcoin will be the winner. That's what he said about 2 or 3 years ago. And he might be right, because you see this. If you look at the monetary supply, which is how much dollars are in circulation since the 1970s, it starts like this, and then it just boom. And if I could do my second arm on top, boom, that's COVID. Like the amount of money that is in circulation is what's causing prices to go crazy in today's economy. It's why everything is going up, because if you have enough money in circulation, you're no longer in a scarcity situation. Crypto, there's no oligarchy of people sitting in a Federal Reserve somewhere saying, hey, we're just going to mine more of this because we need to pay our debts or we need to do these things. It's a fixed, consistent system, and it's universal. It's without borders. And that's the kind of stuff that really attracts people when they think about how far their paycheck's going today. How far is their retirement going to go? When I was on Bloomberg in April, I was talking about Northwest Mutual did this study where they studied a bunch of people that were getting ready for retirement and asking them, how much money do you think you're going to need to retire comfortably? And they asked them back in 2018, and the number was like $550,000, $600,000. Fast forward just 3 years. So 3 years later, they studied the same people. They said they now need 1.6 million. So in just 3 years, the amount of money people think they need to retire is doubling. And that's because we're feeling it. We feel it every day. Everything is more expensive. I'm sure the audience feels that. I'm kind of preaching to the choir here a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely a situation of scarcity that is felt in every aspect of the nation. So it makes sense why you want to diversify. And you being here today in these webinars, Chris and everyone else who's joining us today, you're learning, you're educating yourself because you want to keep up and make sure that when you retire, you can retire comfortably and not have to worry about what you're going to do when you are still trying to live your life but no longer have the income to support that life. So
Yep.
this is where your action starts. You start with taking the first step, and that's by either connecting, educating yourself, or taking action with either diversification through a Horizon account, by purchasing a cryptocurrency with Bitcoin IRA, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you understand, and whatever makes the most sense for you. That's what we need to do in order to make that happen. Um, Chris, this has been phenomenal. We have about 10 minutes or so remaining. So I do want to get to some of these questions. I wish we could talk for another hour. I know you can go for another hour. We've talked before,
No
but
worries. No worries. Yeah, absolutely. And if we don't answer your question or more questions pop up, just call, use the link that Claudia gave. I've got a team of experts that have been with me, many of them almost a decade now, that they have a passion for this. We have a mission to help Americans retire. So we will take the time. They'll sit down on a web conference like this with you individually, one-on-one, go through all the other slides that we weren't able to go through today, and really make sure that we tailor the solution you're looking for to the needs that you have.
yeah, absolutely.
So I do want to ask you a question really quick. Can you go over the difference between a coin and an ETF? I know that that's something that somebody asked, and it's something that comes up on our side as well. And you explain it really well. So I want to go ahead and just go over that difference really quickly.
Absolutely. And actually, I'll put up the visual again really quick because there is a slide specifically about that. Let me present here. We'll go back a couple. So an ETF is an exchange traded fund. Oh, I got to hit share. I'm a rookie. Izzy will be laughing at me right now. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. There are several of these out there. There's gold ETFs. There's even real estate ETFs. They call them REITs. There's emerging market ETFs. And what it's meant to be is an exchange traded fund to give people access to things that are not normally easy to invest in. So back in the 90s, the emerging market ETFs were really big. So people wanted to invest in second and third world countries and their economies that were happening there. And this gave them the ability to do that without having to go down to Costa Rica and find the business and do everything. It gives them access to a bunch. Gold gives the ability for you to buy in gold and silver ETFs without having to necessarily take the gold itself and store it in these things. And they have great strengths. I applaud the existence of the ETF, but they are just a paper proxy. And I used to have a guy a long time ago that worked with me that used to say, he's since retired, if the boat's going down, do you want to reach for a life jacket or a life jacket certificate? And that's really the difference. Is the ETF is more of a certificate solution for you. It gives you quick and easy access. A lot of different retirement vehicles now offer the ETF. Not so much 401ks or solo Ks, but you can find them in some of the major houses like BlackRock, Fidelity. But key difference is they're limited to just Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're limited to 9 to 5 trading hours, which I talked about earlier. So if crypto is moving 24/7 or you want to trade on Christmas, Thanksgiving, MLK Day, your birthday, a Saturday or a Sunday, you have the access to do that. And then you to distribute in kind. So down the road, if you want to be an even longer term hodler of Bitcoin, and you are at distribution and you're holding an ETF, you have to sell the ETF and get dollars. And then you can take the dollars out and distribute them. With real crypto IRAs like our platform, you can actually take the Bitcoin physically. Well, I hate to say the word physically, but you take it from wallet in your IRA to wallet personally held. And we help folks do that all the time. We're starting to get folks that are reaching that distribution age now. Does that
Perfect.
help answer the ETF question?
It does, yes. You explained it perfectly. I mean, we do have a platform that allows ETF crypto investing, but it's nothing like actually holding the real thing. So
Yeah. And
obviously you're next year at it.
right now the holding standards for ETFs, because they're new, is 1 to 1. So for every Bitcoin total number of shares they give that equals a Bitcoin, they have to have it in treasury. That will change, just like any other ETF. Some of the gold ETFs that are out there today, they have a different ratio. It's called camels in mainstream banking, which is your standard of your reserves that you have to offer. This is what went wrong in the 2008 crisis, is that we started basically stacking leverage on top of leverage on top of leverage until the house of cards fell over. Not saying that's going to happen with the Bitcoin ETF, but eventually the bankers will say, hey, I'm selling too much of this ETF. I can't hold 1 to 1. So then if there was a massive liquidation event where everybody wanted to get their Bitcoin out at one point in time, we saw this happen in 2019, where you were waiting sometimes 3 days, 6 days, sometimes even a week or 2 weeks in order to get your strike price to liquidate the paper assets, because they had to go through these mechanisms to get them out the door, tranching and things like that. So it's, just holding the real thing 1 to 1. It's in your wallet for your future use. To me, I'm kind of a purist in that way. Call me biased.
Yeah, absolutely. James asked this great question, and I'm not familiar with your platform, so I do want to ask that because it's something relatively normal within your traditional investments. Are you able to set up auto purchase and sells based on cost averages for the cryptos?
So that is actually a tool that's coming out. James has beaten me to the punch. It's coming out this year. We have 3 major rollouts happening this year. We acquired a business that put together a whole bunch of trading tools for folks to do limit orders, stop losses, and dollar cost average tools. But what folks do right now, since we don't have it, is they will set a price alert. You can set a price alert on your mobile phone or on your mobile, where you'll get notified by email or a push notification that the price is hit where you're looking for. A lot of folks, what they do in the dollar cost average, which I love that you said that, James, because it's a great way to do it. Takes the emotion out of buying Bitcoin. Oh, should I buy it today? And then it drops because it moves so much. Is if you're gonna put $10,000 in, and how much, and divide it by 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever your timetable is, and just at every anniversary event, so it's every Monday at 10 a.m. I want to buy this, so I just log in and I buy it, because you have that accessibility. It's very easy. It's click 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 done. But that tool is coming, and then we're also bringing in 2 instruments of yield. Everybody in the world is looking for making their money make them money, right? And obviously, Bitcoin being scarce and its value going up is awesome. But there are new staking derivatives and lending derivatives that have come to place in a new regulatory standard. So we'll be the first to bring some of those back to market in the second and third quarter. And there's a strategy that's been in place for about a year now called covered calls, which people have used covered calls in a lot of other financial mechanisms. But I don't want to go crazy down that route. When we're ready to launch those, I'd love to come back and bring an expert to go through those details for clients, if that's okay.
Yeah, no,
That'd be good.
that'll be fantastic, Chris.
Because I think Claudia might fall asleep if I start talking about covered calls for the next 30 minutes.
Well, that's not true. I just know that people like that. So yeah, that's cool when you have it.
Yeah, and we knew that there was going to be a very high interest of this, which we had a lot of individuals in here today asking great questions. And specifically, we're Bitcoin related, so we had a lot of good registration from this. For those of you that are still here with us, we are going to be wrapping up here shortly. But be sure to stick around till the end as we wrap up some of these questions. But for those of you that did miss something or want to catch a replay of what was talked about today, there will be a replay available. It's going to be on YouTube under Greg Herlean. So if you just go to YouTube and search Greg Herlean, Herlean, you'll be able to find this replay available later this week. And then, Chris, how are people able to get in contact with you or with your company apart from the link that Claudia's already shared in the chat?
So the link will, if you put that in, you fill it out, you'll give us your name, phone number, email, and create a password to get you a dashboard so you can start going in there, and you can start the contribution process or the setup process. I did notice that folks were asking specifically, do I do contribution, transfer, or rollover? With Horizon, do transfer, but we will send a separate internal transfer form, but that'll get you through the online application process. And then you can put that it's Horizon, and if it's a full or partial amount that you want to move, and it kind of fits the wavelength of it. The transfer forms that you'll sign on the platform will just be filed away, but there's actually a separate form that we communicate with Horizon on. But if you have immediate questions for probably maybe not this evening because we're getting just around 5, but my guys might still be there. It's been busy. They're working quite a bit. They're working quite a bit right now. You can call 877-936-7175, and I'm going to type that in the chat here for everybody.
Perfect.
And be sure to let them know that you're a Horizon account holder, heard about us through Horizon. We had some really awesome holiday bonuses, referral bonuses, and rewards that we're going to extend exclusively for Horizon account holders for the next couple of weeks, since I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody in the holiday time period.
That's fantastic, Chris. We really do appreciate that. I'm sure everyone here who you've piqued their interest is now going to be jumping on that and taking full advantage of that offer over the next course of, hopefully the next couple of days to jump on that before this coming presidency. And here we're counting down to less than 2 weeks now, where I'm sure we're going to see a dynamic shift in the market coming up here on the 20th. So, Chris, thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate you being on and spending time with everyone. This has been incredibly informative. And we went, I know we can go for another hour and we could just keep drilling at all of this information. But unfortunately, let's respect everyone's time. Chris, thank you so much for being here today.
Chris, last 2 minutes. What are you looking forward to the most for 2025?
Ooh, that's a good question. So are you talking financially or like
Anything.
life?
Anything.
I'm really enjoying watching my little girl grow up into a little lady. She's gonna be getting through 5th grade and headed into her Catholic school goes all the way to 8th grade. So she's not moving to middle school, but this is an era where they really start to become their own. And so I'm excited for that. I'm also excited because she's coming with me to New York for a podcast with a pretty large player in the crypto space. I've been trying to get on his podcast for many years. And I'm also, just watching how everything happens, because we have a friendly administration and a lot that's going to happen. We also have this underlying event called halving, where in last April, the reward for mining a Bitcoin got cut in half for the 4th time. And every time that happens, the marketplace, it's like clockwork. It does the same thing. In about 600 to 700 days after halving, which will be August, September, roughly, then you'll see it's going to be a wild time. So for folks that are thinking about crypto, I don't offer financial advice, but history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. And this is going to be one of those moments in time where I think folks are going to realize this isn't just a making money situation, but this is also a protecting money situation long term. And to me, I think that manifestation across society, especially here in the US, and people taking advantage of this for maybe the greatest wealth transfer and retirement opportunity. And I mean, I'm an 85 baby, and it's been downhill ever since. I think I've been through 6 recessions. We've had terrorists. I mean, everything that's happened. I think this will be a moment in time where I'm really going to just be thrilled to watch people succeed on our platform. I joke that we've made more millionaires than Harvard MBAs over the years, and I think this will be a year where folks are going to be sending really nice Christmas gifts for everything that they were able to do. Because in financial services, the client usually has growth, but why we do self-directed is because it gives us alternatives. It gives us something that's not mainstream. And this is just excited to watch it have impact on people's lives.
100%.
Love that. I love ending on that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for having me, and mahalo as well, Lloyd.
Thanks, Chris. Great day.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Great rest of your day and enjoy your week.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots more great content for you to learn and enjoy and apply to. And so anyways, click on the link below and listen to more videos or set an appointment with us. We look forward to hearing from you and also helping you.